Alright, welcome to Dark Souls 3 Guide Part 1. This is a guide for Jake. So, go ahead and we're going to start a new game. In Part 1, we're going to get through this tutorial, and I'm going to sort of talk about Dark Souls 3 and Dark Souls 1, some of the differences. But you'll see them as you play. So, Dark Souls 3 is much more linear. It is a bit easier to sort of figure out where to go next. There's only a couple like decision points, and you end up having to go both ways anyway, so it doesn't, really change anything. And then the other thing is enemies are much more aggressive and they are much faster. So sitting and blocking with shield isn't really what we're going to be doing. We're going to be two-handed a weapon. So anyway, let's go talk about our starting class. So for a first-time playthrough, I recommend either starting with the knight, because they start with a longsword and it's a pretty good weapon. The mercenary, which would be for a dex build, they start with, I think it's technically the highest DPS weapon in the game, the Sellsword Twin Blades. It's very good. Does a lot of damage. The one thing I don't like about it, for a first-time playthrough, is a lot of damage. This doesn't really do any stun, knockback, whatever you want to call it, to some of the smaller enemies, even some of the bosses. So you kind of get carried away spamming the attack button, and then you get hit a lot, die a lot. And then Warrior, which is what I'm going to be focusing this playthrough on, I like a lot for a strength build, do a lot of damage. A lot of the other builds are magic, which we're going to be ignoring, just because I think magic's better for your second time around, and we'll get into that a little bit later in this guide. I'm going to select Warrior. Feel free to select anything you want, but I'm going to be doing the guide based on doing a Warrior build. So if you choose some of the other classes, some of the things I show just for like upgrading your weapon might not apply. You might be doing a different infusion or something like that. So if you do decide to go with one of the other classes, just I guess you might have to look up a separate guide or some extra info. As far as our starting gift, we're going to start with a Sovereignless Soul. We just use it, gets us some levels early on. Everything else we can find later in the game, or isn't really worth it. And customize your appearance however you want. I'm just leaving it the default, and let's get into it. So the controls for Dark Souls 3 are pretty much the same for Dark Souls 1. You move a little quicker, you have a bit more control, you can roll sort of in any direction, and there isn't that weird delay from when you try to roll and then it actually rolls. It's just sort of immediate. Yeah, everything's the same. Press B to roll, A is interact, X is to use your Estus. The D-pad switches, left D-pad, right D-pad, down on the D-pad, and then we don't have any spells, but that switches up. Left bumper is still to block, right bumper is still to attack, right trigger is still heavy attack, and left trigger is still your parry. But for this, we're going to be... Oh, and then holding down B is how you sprint. One change is to jump in this game is different than Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 1, you double tap to sprint. This game, while you're sprinting, you click down on the left stick, so it's a little easier. And then Y is how you two-hand, which is what we're going to be doing with this build, just two-handing the sucker. Don't need the shield. You can leave it on your back if you want, or you can remove it. The weight doesn't really matter. We'll get into equipment load, which is less of a big deal in this game. We just want to keep that weight ratio on the top right below 70%, which is pretty much everything we're going to be doing. Otherwise, we'll fat roll. So there we go. One of the benefits with the warrior is you can two-hand your axe and one-shot these starting enemies. So this Ashen Estus Flask, this restores our FP. I don't know what the F stands for, but it's our magic meter. It's that blue meter in the top left. Red is your health, green is stamina, which you're used to, and then blue is your magic. In Dark Souls 1, the spells you had a limited number of spells. Now the spells cost like to cast, and then you can cast as many as you have enough magic points for, and then you can refill your Ashen Estus. The reason that I recommended not a magic build is because your Ashen Estus and your Estus Flask, it splits your number of uses of Estus. So doing a magic build, you will have less Estus to heal your health, because you're going to need to dedicate some to your Ashen Estus to replenish your magic power. And so I think that could be a bit tricky. So I like doing a melee build, just putting all of our Estus into the health, and we'll get to that later in the game. We can't do that quite yet. Now, up these stairs is the main path. Off to the this direction over to the right, there's an enemy you do not need to fight at the beginning. But if you are able to kill him, it gives us like 4,000 souls early on, and it's a nice little boost. Choice is up to you. One more thing is, when we're two-handing a weapon, we can use its weapon skill, which when you go to this screen, which you press X to show item info, at the bottom will say skill. This one, War Cry, temporarily boosts attack, so we can use that by, when we're two-handing the weapon, pressing left trigger. Different weapons have different skills. Some it's like a weapon art where they do like a special move. Some it's boosts your poise or whatever. So if you're checking out different weapons, feel free to check that out. We're going to boost our attack. This guy is quite dangerous. Oops. Well. Ooh, barely dodged that. Okay. There we go. When you hear that noise and he stumbles back, it means he's staggered. Run over to his head and get a critical hit on him. Oh, he's going to hit me with that. That sucks. And we died. Okay. Well, I thought he was only 2 hits away. He was 3. That's my bad. But, as you'll see here, we just go back to where we started 2 seconds ago. All those other enemies were easy. So, killing this guy, good practice on getting used to some of the controls and fighting some like tougher enemies. Stakes are rather low because it's like you don't really lose anything. We don't have a ton of souls. We're not in our embered form, which is sort of like restoring your humanity in Dark Souls 1. So like we don't really lose anything. Anyway, we're gonna try that again. But yeah, if you can tell, enemies are faster, much more aggressive coming at us. And if you notice, I'm not really locking onto him. The one thing I don't like about locking on for some of these boss enemies. Okay, let's try and get around to the front. You only have a certain amount of time where we'll end. Okay, I locked onto him there. Sometimes it just, you don't roll out of the way at the angle you really wanted to. So sometimes I lock on, sometimes I don't. Depends on which sort of roll direction you're gonna go. Okay. Now we got that guy out of the way. Yeah, he gave us 4,000 souls, plus there was another soul in the body right there. So that's gonna sort of help jumpstart our build. So let's keep moving forward. Another difference, I'm just gonna remove those from my inventory bar. I'm not using them. with this game is we don't level up at any bonfire we want. We sort of have a home hub where we kind of do everything. And once we get through the first area, you'll see that. Now I'll show you around. Alright. So just rest here at this bonfire, restore any Estus you need or your health. Then we're going to just run at this guy and whack him. Oh. Don't miss like I did. And then if you see on this coffin over here, there's an item. We're going to want that. So we're just going to run off this rock and jump at the tree. Land right here. It's a Titanite shard. Which, if you remember from Dark Souls 1, is how we level up our items. This dude, if you remember the plunging attack, you walk off a ledge and then hit right bumper. Kill this dude. Then we're going to run at this guy. Let's give him a little shake and bake to not get hit by his crossbow. No other items we really care about. Skip past these dudes. And down there, this is our first boss. So he's not going to start until we trigger the boss fight. So that'll give us time to do our war cry. He's got this sword in his chest. Coiled sword, that's for lighting a bonfire, so we can't use that on. But this boss triggers Pippin strategy. Just stay close to him. This is a guy locking on is helpful. Stay close and sort of roll and circle around him. He's also, it's possible to parry his attacks. I just learned how to do it pretty recently, and I've played this game for like 6 years. So don't worry if you can't parry him. We're going to do enough damage to him to just dodge and whack him. I will show you the parry just so you can see it. Yeah, so when we pull the sword out, just start whacking him before his name and his health meter comes up. We're going to get like 4 or 5 free hits in on him. So we're going to remove this sword to start the boss fight. And we're going to start wailing. Circle, get another one in. Just keep circling around him. And dodging and then scooting and then hit him like right now. And then circle and dodge and then hit him again. I didn't hit him because I want to get this parry. Like that. You can get a free hit on him. And then do his stagger animation. Now he's below half health. He's going to morph. Get behind him. He's got an arm that comes and starts swinging out. Hit him like 4 times, then get your stamina back. Hug him. And just keep circling behind the whole time. Attack or 2 in. And, okay, he's not attacking us, so there's 3. And he's done. That was a weird second phase. He didn't really do much. Sometimes he'll kind of swing at you with a sword or his big old goopy arm. Or he'll jump in the air and float and hang there for a second. And you just got to stay close and then dodge as he comes down. That's really all there is to it. Don't get discouraged if you don't kill him on your first try. I've fought that guy 50 to 100 times. We're in there. I've seen it all. But as you saw, the axe does really good damage. So you should kill him pretty quickly. When I first played this game, after I played Dark Souls 1 and 2 a bunch, I think I beat him on my 3rd or 4th try. And I was pretty experienced at Souls games, so like, it's no big deal if you die. The only thing that stinks if you don't kill him on the first try is then you get that fog wall at that archway back there, and you don't get those first few free hits, those first couple, because you don't pull the sword out. The boss fight just starts when you enter. So no big deal if you don't kill him on the first try, but you lose that advantage going forward. So once you beat him, first of all, if you're at this part of the regulations, because you beat them, we're just going to run up these stairs, and then we're going to go up and then to the left just before we go into and we're not going to go up there. That man is very dangerous. We don't need to kill him. But we're going to kill this guy and this guy because we want this item over here. It's an ember. That's sort of the equivalent of a humanity of Dark Souls 1. And then back here, it's a homeward bone. Same as Dark Souls 1, takes you back to a bonfire. Teleports you out. Another ember. Drop down here. We're going to kill this dog. And now we're going to go into the home hub. And welcome to Firelink Shrine. Looks a bit different from Dark Souls 1, but this is our home hub. We're going to place that coiled sword we grabbed, and now we have a bonfire lit. This is the Firekeeper. She's how we level up. So we talk to her, and then go through the stats here. So Vigor, that's our health. You know, pretty straightforward. Attunement, we're not going to touch in this build. This both ups our FP, so we can, you know, cast more spells. And then, there, once we get it up higher, it also raises, if you look at the bottom right, attunement slots. That's how many spells you can have in your inventory, like, ready to cast. Again, we're not doing any of that for this build. Does not matter. Endurance is our stamina. Unlike Dark Souls 1, it is not our equipment load. It just is stamina. Vitality, which was health in Dark Souls 1, this is your equipment load, and your equipment load only. We're going to, for the most part, be ignoring it. We're not really going to need a couple levels so we can wear full armor and have our big-ass club at the same time later. But for the most part, we might take it to 15, but it's not important until, like, way later. Strength is strength. Dex is dex, intelligence is faith. These are the 4 like damage things. We're going to be doing strength build. And then luck is your item discovery. And then there's some other like different builds you can do. Some weird weapons and stuff scale with luck. We're not doing any of that. Ignore it. So we're going to be ignoring luck. We're ignoring faith. We're ignoring intelligence. We're ignoring dex. We'll be doing strength, we're ignoring vitality, we're doing endurance, we're ignoring attunement, and we're doing vigor. So, eventually we're going to get to 40 strength. We're going to need it to be at 28 to use the weapon we want to use. And our vigor and endurance, we're going to want to get up to 40 and 40 as well. But we're going to want to not exceed these past 30 until we get our strength to 40, and we don't want to exceed them past 20 until we get our strength to 28. I have played this so much, I tend to pour more into my damage dealing stats early on, but if you look, it doesn't raise it that much. Like 7 levels gives me 13-ish damage. I'm getting kind of like 2 damage a level. That increases as we upgrade weapons and they scale with our stats a little better. But for the most part, early game, increasing this isn't too important except to get it to 28 so we can, for later. Definitely don't feel bad if you're like, I'm going to have a little more endurance and health. For now, I'm not going to level up though. I'm going to do it all at once at the end. We have some more housekeeping to do. This lady right here, this is our shopkeeper. We could buy some items from her. First things first, for 300, so we're going to buy this dagger. We're going to need it for later. So just spend the 300 souls right now. We don't need to buy anything else from her at the moment. What's nice is we can sell items. Any item. Except for some key items or whatever. But it's nice if we have extra crap we don't want, like this cleric's chime, sell it off. We just bought that. Now, and if you sell the souls to her, it's the same price as if you consume the soul. So just feel free to go ahead and just sell your souls. It's faster than like popping each one. Now, I recommend kind of keeping items in your inventory, not just going through and selling off stuff you don't want until you're like, I don't have quite enough souls to get to the next level. I'm going to sell stuff that puts me over that hump because you don't want to lose your souls. Die, try to recover them, die again, lose them because you sold off all your stuff. They're kind of like having items to sell is like having souls in the bank, And then if you recognize this blacksmith, he's the same one from Dark Souls 1. He is where we will upgrade our weapons. How you upgrade them has changed a little bit. There's no more green Titanite shards for magic upgrades, and there's no more colored Titanite chunk I'm sorry, Titanite chunk of color. My apologies. Uh, so there's no more like white, blue, red Titanite chunks. It's just regular Titanite shards, large Titanite shards, Titanite chunks, and Titanite slab. Weapons just go, no matter what it is, they go from, well, not boss weapons, but for the normal weapons we're using, they go from, nothing to +10. So +1 through +10, no matter what it is. And it takes 2 Titanite shards for +1, 4 for +2, 6 for +3, and then that repeats for the large and the chunk, 246, 246, 246 to get you +3, +6, +9. So it takes 12 of each type to fully upgrade it through that, and then 1 Titanite slab to get it to +10. And I'll be showing you where to pick up the ones that you want to use. To upgrade. And that brings us to infusions. Like, yes, there's still fire weapons and lightning weapons and magic weapons that you can do. Those are infusions. So you come here, and if you infuse your weapon, it still upgrades the same way. And if you have like a +3 axe, then you're going to make it a +3 fire axe, for example. Just making it fire is just like an extra thing you do. It doesn't like reset it or anything like that. It is what it is. So right now, we don't have the gems for it, but there's different gems that do different infusions. And if you look for the refined gem, which this is a sort of a new thing from Dark Souls 1, is it changes how the weapon scales. So for this battle axe, it scales a D with strength and a D with dex. And if we did a refined gem, it would scale a C with each of them. So it lowers the base damage of the weapon a little bit, but how much damage it does scaling, so as we raise our stats, it does better. A raw gem just makes it do base way more damage, takes away scaling. Fire gem takes away scaling, but now it'll split the damage between physical and fire. What we're going to be doing in our weapon is getting a heavy gem, which I know you don't see a heavy infusion here yet. And that's just going to make the weapon we use scale with strength way better. So we're doing a strength build. To unlock additional infusions, you need what are called coals, which are kind of like the embers that we got in Dark Souls. We'll be getting a coal fairly early in the game that'll let us do the heavy infusion for our big-ass club that we're going to be using. So now the last thing we're going to do, and we're going to have to end up doing this twice, so practice makes perfect, is we're going to head up these stairs, and we're going to do something to just make our job a little bit easier. And we're going to go up these stairs, and we're going to head outside here. You see this little thing, guy? You're in the right spot. First of all, we're going to grab these souls. And this is locked, takes a key, which we can buy later for like 20,000 souls. We're going to ignore that. And we got this tree next to this roof. And we're going to kind of run halfway up the tree and then jump off to the right. It's kind of a pain in the butt to do. But once you kind of get the hang of it, it's not too bad. And if you're having trouble, oh, that was a bad one. Take off your armor. You'll run a little faster, get a little bit of a further jump. And I know this seems kind of tedious, but it's going to help us get 2 items early on that are going to make our run a little easier. There we go. I was going to say 3rd time's a charm, but I think that was time number 4. So we're going to get those homeward bones. That's not what we really came for. Then we're going to run up in here and be careful not to fall down. You'll die. And do the jump again. We're ignoring these guys, although we will be coming back for them later. And we're going to be grabbing this Estus shard. This is how we increase our uses of our Estus flask. So we do that at the blacksmith, so we're going to head back to him. And we're going to roll off here, open this chest. And this is the Silver Serpent Ring. When we kill enemies, including bosses, we get, I think it's 10% more souls, so we're just going to go with that. And so now for the rest of our run, until we feel like we don't need to be collecting souls anymore, we'll just be getting an increased amount to help us level up. And by jumping off that tree, we saved ourselves 20,000 souls and got that stuff a little earlier. So, we're going to go back to the blacksmith. And so, we talked about reinforced weapon and fused weapon. Preparing equipment, you only need to do this if one of your weapons breaks, unlike Dark Souls 1, where your stuff, you had to do it to replenish its durability. If you rest at a bonfire, the durability of your items replenishes, so you never need to repair your equipment, like, ever in this game. So don't worry about it. So there's a lot Estus and Reinforced Estus Flask. Reinforce adds a charge to it. We'll see it once we rest at a bonfire. And a lot Estus is how we choose how many we want between our magic and our health. We're ignoring magic, we're going straight melee, so we're just going to put all 5 in our health. And there we are. So we have an extra Estus Flask. I'm going to sell an extra 200 souls here. And now we're going to go talk to her, and we're going to level up now that we're ready and have done everything else. So, like I said, we get our strength to 28 eventually. To be able to wield the club, and then we're going to want to go to 40, which is the reason we don't go above 40 is because it's kind of the soft cap for scaling, and you get diminishing returns after that point. It's not really worth it. Before, let's not exceed 20 in vigor or endurance before we get our strength to 28. If you're feeling confident and cocky, put it all in strength. But you're a little bit newer, I'd maybe go strength up to 20, and then maybe split your points kind of like that, up everything else just a little bit. And there we go. We are level 16. We've upped our stats a little bit. And then, unlike Dark Souls 1, technically everything's interconnected. How we get to the first area is we don't leave here. We rest at the bonfire, and you'll see that we can travel. And any bonfire you unlock, you can warp between from any other bonfire. Unlike Dark Souls 1, where we had to get like halfway through the game, beat Ornstein and Smo. Now we can just do it. So we're going to warp to the High Wall of Lothric, and we are going to eventually, in part 2, I will show you how we get started. So that was our sort of intro guide, part 1. Thank you very much for anyone